The cargo vessel drifted through the purple clouds of the Kashari Nebula like a wounded animal. Plasma vented from its port side in bright orange bursts, and its shields flickered on and off in an irregular pattern. Inside the bridge, Captain Maria Chen watched her displays with calm eyes, while her voice carried just the right amount of panic. "This is the wandering trader requesting immediate assistance. We have suffered critical reactor damage and life support is failing. Please, anyone who can hear this, we need help." She released the transmission button and glanced at her communications officer. "How does that sound, Rodriguez?" The young man grinned. "Perfect, Captain. You sound absolutely terrified." Maria allowed herself a small smile. She had been many things in her 40 years, but terrified was rarely one of them. Around her, the bridge crew of 12 moved with quiet efficiency. Every person knew their role. Every system had been checked 3 times. The wandering trader looked like it was dying, but that was exactly the point. "Contact," reported her sensor officer, Lieutenant Park. 3 vessels approaching from Sector 7. Configuration matches Vraxian warships. "Right on schedule," Maria murmured. She had studied the Vraxian raiders for 6 months. She knew how they thought, how they hunted, and most importantly, how they saw prey. The Vraxians were old hands at piracy. For 300 years, they had terrorized the smaller species of the galaxy, taking what they wanted and leaving wreckage behind. They were confident, experienced, and about to learn a very hard lesson. The 3 Vraxian ships closed in, their dark hulls cutting through the nebula like sharks through water. On her screen, Maria could see them taking formation, surrounding her vessel from 3 sides. Standard raiding pattern. They would cut off any escape route, demand surrender, and then take everything of value. The crew would be sold as slaves or simply killed if they proved troublesome. "They're hailing us," Rodriguez said. "Put them through." The face that appeared on her screen was reptilian, with golden eyes and scales that shimmered in the light. Commander Thekral of the Vraxian Dominion looked at her with the expression of a predator who had already won. "Human vessel, you will power down all systems and prepare to be boarded. Resist and we will destroy you. Your choice is simple." Maria let fear creep into her voice. "Please, we have families on board, children. We're just a cargo ship. We're not military. Just let us go." Thekral's laugh was cold. "Humans, we have heard of your kind. New to the galaxy and already crying when faced with real power. You should have stayed on your little world." He cut the transmission. Maria straightened in her chair. The fear vanished from her face like water evaporating in sunlight. "Status? All 3 ships are in position," Park reported. "Range is optimal. They're charging weapons. Engineering, how's our performance?" From below decks, Chief Engineer Kowalski responded over the intercom. "The plasma vents look beautiful, Captain. Very dramatic. Shields are flickering right on cue. Anyone watching would think we're about to explode." "Excellent work." Maria checked her chronometer. 30 seconds. She opened a channel to the ship's internal systems. "All hands, this is the captain. Battle stations. Prepare for Operation Wolves." Around her, the casual atmosphere evaporated. Hands moved to weapons controls. Screens came alive with targeting data. The wandering trader might look like a helpless cargo ship, but appearances could be deceiving. Hidden beneath its ordinary hull were military-grade weapons, reinforced armor, and shields that could take a beating from a battleship, but that was not the real trap. 15 seconds, Park announced. Maria watched the Vraxian ships close in. She could imagine Thekral on his bridge, already dividing up the spoils, already planning how to spend his profit, already thinking about his next target. She felt no anger, only cold calculation. This was not about revenge. This was about teaching. 10 seconds. The nebula around them was beautiful, she thought. All those purple and orange clouds lit from within by distant stars. So many places to hide. So many places to wait. 5 seconds. Rodriguez was counting down softly. 3, 2, 1. Wolves, Maria said quietly. The transformation was instant. The plasma vent stopped. The shield snapped to full power with a sound like thunder. Hidden weapons ports opened along the wandering trader's hull, revealing railguns and missile tubes. But that was just the opening act. From the clouds around them, from positions they had held for 3 hours, 30 human warships decloaked simultaneously. Destroyers and frigates appeared in a perfect sphere around the 3 Vraxian vessels, and behind them all, emerging from the deepest part of the nebula like a rising mountain, came the dreadnought Dire Wolf. Maria watched her screens as the Vraxian sensors went wild. She could imagine the panic on their bridges. 3 ships versus 31. No way out, no escape. She opened a channel to the Vraxian commander. "Commander Thekral," she said, her voice now calm and professional. "I believe you wanted to discuss terms of surrender."
Shall we begin?
Thekral stared at his tactical display and felt something he had not experienced in 20 years of raiding. Fear. Real, cold fear that made his scales itch and his hearts beat faster. Where there had been one helpless cargo ship, there were now 31 warships surrounding him in a perfect sphere. Every escape route was blocked. Every advantage was gone. "Commander, they have deployed FTL inhibitor buoys throughout the region," his tactical officer reported, voice shaking. "We cannot jump to hyperspace. How?" Thekral demanded. "How did we not detect them?" "The nebula interference, Commander. They used it to hide their signatures. They have been waiting for us." On his main screen, a new face appeared. This human was older than the cargo ship captain, with gray hair and eyes that held no fear at all. He wore a military uniform with stars on his collar. Behind him, the bridge of a massive warship stretched into the distance. This is Admiral James Kowalski of the United Earth Space Force, commanding the dreadnought Direwolf. "You are surrounded and outgunned. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. You have 2 minutes to comply." Thekral felt rage replace his fear. No one spoke to a Vraxian commander like that. No one. He had raided over 40 ships in his career. He had faced down armed escorts before. These humans were new to the galaxy. They did not know who they were dealing with. "All ships, concentrate fire on that destroyer," he ordered, pointing to the smallest human vessel. "We break through their line and scatter. They cannot catch us all." His weapons officer looked uncertain. "Commander, we are outnumbered 10 to 1. Do it." The 3 Vraxian warships opened fire together. Their plasma cannons lit up space with green energy, all focused on a single human destroyer. The human ship's shields flared bright as it absorbed the impacts. For a moment, Thekral felt hope. Maybe the human shields were weak. Maybe they could punch through. Then the humans returned fire. It was not the overwhelming barrage Thekral expected. Instead, each human ship fired precisely calculated shots. They did not aim to destroy. They aimed to disable. On Thekral's ship, the main weapons array exploded as a railgun round pierced straight through it. The engine room reported critical damage from a missile strike. Communications went down as another shot took out the antenna array. "They are surgical," his tactical officer said with disbelief. "They are taking us apart piece by piece." Thekral watched as the second Vraxian ship lost power to its engines. It drifted helplessly, unable to maneuver. The third ship, commanded by his second officer, Vectar, attempted something desperate. It turned its prow toward the wandering trader and engaged full thrust, planning to ram the cargo ship that had led them into this trap. The human response was immediate and absolute. Every ship within range fired at once. The Vraxian vessel vanished in a ball of superheated plasma and shattered metal. No warning, no second chance, just complete destruction. The message was clear. The humans were being gentle by choice, not by necessity. "Commander, we have lost main power," his engineer reported. "Weapons offline, engines offline. We are dead in space." Thekral's hands shook as he reached for the communications panel. His pride screamed at him to keep fighting, but his survival instinct was stronger. He had seen what happened to Vectar. He did not want to die in empty space, forgotten and unmourned. "This is Commander Thekral to human fleet. We surrender. We are powering down all systems." There was a moment of silence. Then Admiral Kowalski spoke again. "Acknowledged. Remain in your current position and await boarding teams." As Thekral gave the orders to stand down, something new appeared on his sensors. Deep within the nebula, an energy signature was building. It was massive, far larger than anything the human ships were producing. His tactical officer enhanced the image, and what they saw made Thekral's blood run cold. It was a weapons platform, hidden even deeper than the fleet had been, and it was powering up a mass driver, the kind of weapon that could accelerate projectiles to a significant fraction of light speed, the kind of weapon that could destroy all 3 Vraxian ships with a single shot. Then, just as suddenly as it had powered up, the platform went dark again. "They wanted us to see it," Thekral said quietly. "They wanted us to know it was there. But why show us after we surrendered?" Thekral understood, and the understanding made him feel small. "Because next time we will remember. Every Vraxian who hears this story will remember. The humans could have killed us easily. They chose not to, but they also chose to let us know they could have. An hour later, Admiral Kowalski stepped onto Thekkeral's bridge with 6 armed Marines. The humans moved with practiced efficiency, not quite pointing their weapons at anyone but ready to respond in an instant. The Admiral himself was calm, almost friendly. Somehow that made him more frightening. "Commander Thekkeral," Kowalski said, "you and your crew will be detained aboard the Dire Wolf for questioning. You will not be harmed if you cooperate. You have my word on that." "And if we do not cooperate?" Thekkeral asked. Kowalski smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. "Then I would suggest you think very carefully about what happened to your 3rd ship. We are patient people, Commander. We would prefer not to kill you. But do not mistake patience for weakness." As Thekkeral was escorted off his own bridge, Kowalski spoke again. "One more thing you should know. The Wandering Trader operation was not unique. Right now, across 12 star systems, 47 other Vraxian raiding parties are experiencing the same surprise you just did. In the next 6 hours, your entire raiding network will collapse. The galaxy is changing, Commander. I thought you should hear it from me first." Thekkeral said nothing. What could he say? His entire worldview had just shattered like glass. The easy prey had been the predators all along, and they had been watching, waiting, and planning for months. The detention quarters aboard the Dire Wolf were not what Thekkeral expected. They were clean, well-lit, and surprisingly comfortable. Guards stood outside his door, but they had not restrained him. They had even provided food that met Vraxian dietary requirements. It was all very civilized, which made Thekkeral more nervous than any torture chamber would have. On the 3rd day, they came for him. The human who entered his cell was a woman in her 30s with sharp eyes and a datapad in her hands. She introduced herself as Lieutenant Sarah Park, Intelligence Division. She sat across from him at the small table and smiled. "Let us talk, Commander. I have some questions." "I will tell you nothing," Thekkeral said automatically. Park looked amused. "Commander, we already know everything. The questions are just to confirm what we have learned. For example, your main base is located in the Krevthor system, on the 3rd moon of the gas giant. You have approximately 200 ships stationed there, and your commanding officer is High Commander Zekthar. Your raiding territory covers 18 systems, and you typically target cargo vessels traveling between the Outer Rim colonies." Thekkeral felt his scales go cold. Every detail was correct. "How do you know this?" "We have been watching you for 18 months, Park said simply. She tapped her datapad and a holographic image appeared above the table. It showed Thekkeral's own ship attacking a civilian transport 6 months ago. "We have surveillance footage of 37 raids. We have recordings of your communications. We have tracked your supply routes and mapped your entire network." "That is impossible. We use encrypted channels." Park's smile widened. "You use encrypted channels that were designed 150 years ago. Our computers cracked them in about 4 hours. After that, we just listened. We heard everything, Commander. Every order, every target, every boast about your successful raids." Thekkeral leaned back in his chair. His entire career, everything he thought was secret, had been an open book to the humans. "Why did you wait so long? If you knew all this, why not attack us months ago?" "Because we were not just hunting you," Park explained. "We were hunting all of you. Every Vraxian raiding party, every base, every supply depot, we needed to map the complete network before we struck. One ship here, one ship there that accomplishes nothing. But 48 raiding parties captured simultaneously? That sends a message." "What message?" "That piracy in human-protected space is over. That we have the capability to find you, track you, and eliminate you whenever we choose. And most importantly, that we are willing to invest the time and resources to do it properly." Over the next hour, Park showed him more evidence. She had files on his crew members, their families, their financial records. She had detailed maps of every raid route the Vraxians used. She even had internal Vraxian communications discussing human ships as easy targets. The thoroughness was terrifying. "You mentioned 48 raiding parties," Thekkeral said finally. "What happened to them?" "The same thing that happened to you. Trapped, captured, and currently being processed. In total, we captured 632 Vraxian vessels and over 40,000 personnel. It was the largest coordinated anti-piracy operation in galactic history." The door opened and Admiral Kowalski entered, followed by Captain Chen from the Wandering Trader. They pulled up chairs and sat down. Kowalski looked at Thekkeral with an expression that might have been pity. "I imagine you are wondering what happens next," the Admiral said. "You will execute us," Thekkeral said. It was what the Vraxians would have done. No, Chen said firmly. We are not executioners. We believe in law, in justice, and in the possibility that people can change. Then what? Kowalski leaned forward. We have compiled evidence of Vraxian war crimes going back 15 years. Attacks on civilian vessels, murders, theft, and slavery. We have testimony from survivors across 40 different worlds. We have video evidence, communications logs, and physical proof. In short, we have enough to bring you before the Galactic Council and charge you with crimes against sentient beings. The Council is weak, Thekral said with contempt. They pass resolutions and make speeches, but they do nothing. They have done nothing because no one has given them the tools to act, Chen replied. We are giving them those tools. Evidence that cannot be denied. Witnesses who can testify, and most importantly, the willingness to enforce the consequences. Park brought up another hologram. This one showed a list of names, hundreds of them. These are the victims of your raids, Commander. We have identified every ship you attacked, every person you killed or enslaved. Their families have been waiting for justice for years. Now they will have it. Thekral looked at the names and felt something he had not expected. Shame. These were not just statistics or targets. They were people, individuals with families and lives that he had destroyed without a second thought. He had never allowed himself to think of them that way before. Why are you telling me all this? He asked quietly. Kowalski's expression was serious. Because we are offering you a choice. You can cooperate with us, testify against the Vraxian Dominion leadership, provide information that will help us shut down the remaining pirate operations. In exchange, we will argue for reduced sentences. You will still face justice, but you will have a chance at redemption. And if I refuse, then we present all of this evidence to the Galactic Council anyway. Your cooperation is not required, just preferred. Either way, the piracy ends. The only question is whether you want to be part of the solution or remain part of the problem. Chen spoke softly. Commander, humans have a long history with piracy. On our world, pirates ruled our oceans for thousands of years. We know what it takes to stop them. Overwhelming force, patient intelligence gathering, and most importantly, removing the profit motive. We are going to make piracy so expensive, so dangerous, and so unprofitable that no rational being would attempt it. You can help us do that, or you can watch from a prison cell. Your choice. Thekral looked at the three humans sitting across from him. They were not angry. They were not cruel. They were simply determined, with the kind of quiet certainty that came from absolute confidence in their cause. He realized that they would do exactly what they promised, with or without his help. How long do I have to decide? He asked. 24 hours, Kowalski said. Think carefully, Commander. This is probably the most important decision you will ever make. The Galactic Council chamber was a massive sphere that could hold representatives from over 200 species. Today, every seat was filled. The emergency session had been called at humanity's request, and rumors had been spreading for days. Some said the humans were presenting a case against the Vraxian Dominion. Others whispered about a human military buildup that threatened the peace. Everyone was nervous. Ambassador David Okonkwo stood at the central podium, calm despite the thousands of eyes watching him. He was a tall man with dark skin and gray hair, and he had spent 30 years in diplomatic service. He had negotiated trade agreements, settled disputes, and represented Earth's interests across the galaxy. But today was different. Today, he was here to change everything. Honored representatives, he began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. I come before you today to present evidence of systematic piracy, murder, and slavery conducted by elements of the Vraxian Dominion over the past 15 years. The Vraxian delegate, a heavy-set male named Korthax, rose immediately. This is outrageous. The Dominion is a sovereign state. We will not tolerate these baseless accusations from a species that has been in the galaxy for less than 5 years. Okonkwo smiled politely. Then I suppose it is fortunate that my accusations are not baseless. If you would direct your attention to the central display. The massive holographic projector in the center of the chamber activated. What appeared was not a simple document or chart. It was a database, vast and detailed, containing years of compiled evidence. Video footage began to play showing Vraxian ships attacking civilian vessels. The audio carried the screams of victims, the demands for surrender, The cold laughter of raiders. The chamber fell silent. Some representatives looked away, others watched with growing horror. The footage continued for 10 minutes, showing raid after raid, each one documented in excruciating detail. When it finally stopped, the silence was absolute. What you have just seen represents less than 1% of the evidence we have compiled, Okonkwo said quietly. We have documented over 800 raids. We have identified 14,000 victims, of whom approximately 6,000 were killed. The others were sold into slavery or held for ransom. This has been happening for 15 years, and the Galactic Council has done nothing. We were not aware, protested the Tholian counselor, an ancient being whose species prided itself on wisdom and justice. If we had known, you did know, Okonkwo interrupted gently. 37 species filed complaints with the Council over the past decade. Each time, the Council passed a resolution condemning piracy in general terms. Each time, no action was taken. The pirates continued to operate because there were no consequences. Korthax was on his feet again, his scales flushed with anger. Even if some rogue elements have acted improperly, the humans have no right to take military action. They have violated our sovereignty. They have attacked our ships without provocation. Your ships attacked ours first, Okonkwo replied. We have that on record as well. Would you like me to play the communications where your commanders referred to human vessels as easy prey? Before Korthax could respond, a small furred delegate from the Kesari system stood. Her species had been particularly hard hit by Vraxian raids. Ambassador Okonkwo, what exactly did your people do? We conducted a coordinated counter-piracy operation across 12 star systems. We used intelligence gathering, surveillance, and tactical deployment to locate and capture Vraxian raiding parties. 48 groups were captured simultaneously. Total casualties were minimal because we chose to disable rather than destroy. We are not at war with the Vraxian people. We are simply stopping the pirates. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species praised the human action. Others worried about the precedent. Many wanted to know more about human military capabilities. Okonkwo waited patiently for the noise to die down, then continued. The Galactic Council faces a choice. You can continue as you have been, passing resolutions that accomplish nothing, or you can take real action. Humanity offers our intelligence, our tactical expertise, and our willingness to enforce the peace. We propose a joint task force to combat piracy throughout Council space. We will train your security forces. We will share our surveillance technology. We will coordinate operations. But in exchange, you must commit to actual enforcement, not just empty words. A reptilian delegate from the Score hegemony spoke up. And if we refuse? Will you humans take it upon yourself to police the galaxy? It was the question everyone wanted to ask. Okonkwo chose his words carefully. We will protect our own people and our allies. If that means operating outside Council approval, then yes, we will do so. But we would prefer to work within the existing framework. We are not conquerors. We are not interested in empire. We simply want safe passage for legitimate vessels. Is that really so much to ask? The Tholian counselor raised a withered hand. Ambassador, may I ask you a personal question? Your passion on this topic suggests something more than policy. Why do humans care so deeply about piracy specifically? Okonkwo paused. When he spoke again, his voice was softer but carried throughout the chamber. Because we remember. On my world, we had pirates for thousands of years. They terrorized our ocean trade routes, killed our sailors, and took our people as slaves. It took centuries to stop them. We learned hard lessons about the cost of inaction. He pulled up a new display. This one showed human ships, destroyed and drifting in space. When we first entered the galaxy 5 years ago, we were peaceful explorers. We believed in cooperation and mutual benefit. Then the raids began. 23 human vessels lost in the first year. Over 4,000 civilians dead, including 300 children on colony transports. The image changed to show a memorial wall covered in names. Thousands of them. We remember every single name, Okonkwo continued. Every child who will never grow up. Every parent who will never see their home again. Every dream that ended in the cold of space. We remember, and we decided that no other species should have to experience what we did. That is why we care. That is why we act. That is why we will not stop until the space lanes are safe for everyone. The chamber was silent. Even Korthax had no response. The Tholian counselor nodded slowly, respect clear in his ancient eyes. I call for a vote, he said. 3 measures. First, formal condemnation of Vraxian Dominion leadership for systematic piracy. Second, authorization for a joint task force to combat raiding across member territories. Third, granting humanity a temporary Security Council seat to coordinate operations. All in favor? The votes came in quickly. The first measure passed overwhelmingly. The second had more opposition but still carried. The third was closer but still achieved majority support. The galaxy had just changed its direction. Korthax stood and pointed at Okonkwo. The Dominion will never submit to this. You have made enemies today, human. Okonkwo's response was broadcast across the entire galaxy. We were not asking for permission. 3 months after the council vote, the galaxy looked very different. Admiral Kowalski stood on the bridge of the Dire Wolf and reviewed the latest reports with satisfaction. The Joint Task Force had freed 17 star systems from pirate control. Shipping lanes that had been death traps now had regular patrols. Smaller species that once traveled in fear now moved freely under task force protection. Admiral, we have confirmation from the Kasari sector, his communications officer reported. The last pirate base has surrendered. They are requesting terms. Tell them the same as all the others. Full cooperation, complete evidence disclosure, and they face justice through proper channels. No summary executions, but no mercy for war crimes either. Understood, sir. Kowalski watched the tactical display that showed the current positions of all task force vessels. Ships from 40 different species now work together using human coordination protocols. It had not been easy to implement. Many species had their own military traditions and were reluctant to adopt human methods. But the results spoke for themselves. In 3 months, they had accomplished what the Galactic Council had failed to do in decades. The door to the bridge opened, and Thekral entered, escorted by 2 Marines. The former pirate commander now wore a plain uniform with no rank insignia. He had chosen cooperation, testifying against Dominion leadership and providing intelligence that had been crucial to several operations. In exchange, his sentence had been reduced and he now served as an advisor to the task force. You wanted to see me, Admiral? Yes. We have received intelligence about a hidden base in the Outer Rim. Your people used it as a fallback position. I need you to verify the coordinates and confirm the defenses. Thekral studied the data Kowalski provided. After a moment, he nodded. Yes, this is accurate. But there is more. The base has a civilian population, families of the raiders, about 2,000 individuals, mostly females and younglings. Are they hostages or willing participants? Both in different cases. Some were forced to be there. Others chose to follow their mates into piracy. The truth is complicated. Kowalski considered this. We will offer the same terms we have offered everyone else. Those who cooperate will be treated fairly. Those who resist will face consequences, but we will not harm civilians who are not actively fighting us. That is more mercy than they would have shown you, Thekral said quietly. I know, but we are not them. Elsewhere in the galaxy, Captain Maria Chen sat in her favorite chair aboard the Wandering Trader. Her ship had been repaired and was once again cruising through potentially dangerous space, looking like an easy target. The strategy had worked so well that it had become standard practice. Dozens of human ships now played the same role, appearing vulnerable while hidden fleets waited nearby. Contact, her sensor officer announced. Single raider approaching fast. Configuration suggests independent operator, not Vraxian. Interesting. Let us see if the lesson is spread beyond the Dominion. Chen activated her distress beacon and made her ship appear even more helpless than usual. The approaching vessel was a converted civilian transport with weapons grafted onto its hull. Amateur work, she noted. Probably a new pirate trying to cash in on what they thought was easy money. The pirate ship closed to weapons range and opened a channel. The captain was a score, reptilian and aggressive. Human ship, surrender your cargo or be destroyed. Please, we are just simple traders, Chen said, adding fear to her voice. We have nothing of value. Let me be the judge of that. Prepare to be boarded. Chen glanced at her crew. They were trying not to smile. Sir, I must warn you. Attacking human vessels is considered a very bad idea these days. I do not fear your military. I am fast and smart. By the time they arrive, I will be gone with your cargo, if you say so. Chen cut the transmission and looked at her tactical officer.
How long until our friends arrive?
4 minutes. The frigate squadron was on patrol nearby. They detected us the moment we activated the distress beacon. Chen settled back to wait. The score pirate approached cautiously, probably surprised that the human ship was not running. His weapons were charging, but he did not fire yet. He wanted to take the cargo intact if possible. Classic pirate thinking. 3 minutes later, 4 human frigates dropped out of FTL space in perfect formation. They surrounded the pirate vessel before he could react. Chen reopened the channel and saw the panic on the score's face. I tried to warn you, she said. Now you get to learn the hard way. All human cargo ships have escorts. Sometimes you can see them, sometimes you cannot. But they are always there. The score's ship powered down weapons immediately. He had heard the stories. He knew what happened to pirates who resisted. Chen felt a small satisfaction. Another pirate caught, another lesson taught. The word was spreading. Attacking human ships was no longer easy money. It was a quick way to end up in a detention cell. Admiral Kowalski received the report about Chen's encounter and added it to his growing file. 53 attempted pirate attacks in the past month. 53 captures with 0 casualties. The strategy was working better than he had dared hope. Pirates were learning that the risk was no longer worth the reward, but there was still work to do. The Vraxian Dominion had fractured into multiple factions. Some had sued for peace and were cooperating with the task force. Others remained defiant, operating from hidden bases and growing increasingly desperate. The moderates, led by reformed raiders like Thekral, were providing intelligence that was proving invaluable. Admiral, we have a situation, his intelligence officer reported. One of the hardliner groups has taken hostages, a civilian transport with 400 passengers. They are demanding we withdraw from Vraxian space and release all prisoners. Kowalski felt a familiar coldness settle over him. This was the moment he had been dreading. Up until now, they had been able to minimize casualties and maintain the moral high ground. But hostage situations changed everything. Where is the transport? Holding position near the Krevthor system. 6 pirate ships are escorting it. Ready a strike team, stealth approach, and get Thekral up here. If anyone knows how these hardliners think, it is him. The operation took 4 hours to plan and execute, using intelligence from Thekral about the typical layout of captured ships. Human special forces infiltrated the transport while it was in transit. The pirates never saw them coming. When the strike team made their move, it was quick and precise. All 6 pirate ships were disabled simultaneously. The hostages were freed without a single casualty. The rescued passengers were from 7 different species. As they were transferred to a hospital ship, many asked to speak with their rescuers. Admiral Kowalski met with them personally, listening to their thanks and their stories. One elderly Kessari female took his hand in her small paws. You saved my daughter and her children, she said. Your people did not have to do this. We are not even allied with Earth. Why do you risk so much for strangers? Kowalski thought about his answer carefully. Because someone must. Because we remember what it is like to be helpless. Because we believe the galaxy should be safe for all peaceful beings. Your daughter should be able to travel without fear. Your grandchildren should grow up knowing the stars are not full of monsters. That is worth fighting for. Years later, after the Joint Task Force had completed its mission and piracy had been reduced to isolated incidents, Admiral Kowalski returned to Earth. He visited a memorial in Geneva, a black wall covered in names. The memorial honored the 4,247 humans who had died in that first year of galactic piracy. His daughter's name was there, in the section reserved for colonists. She had been 16, traveling to a new world with dreams of becoming a scientist. He placed his Security Council medal at the base of the memorial, next to thousands of others left by grateful families. We kept our promise, he said quietly. The space lanes are safer now. You did not die for nothing. His communicator buzzed. Another message from Command. Another report of suspicious activity near the outer rim. Another potential pirate trying their luck. Kowalski smiled grimly and turned to leave. The work was never truly done, but humanity had proven its point. The galaxy had learned a simple lesson. Humans protected their own. They protected their allies. And they had very long memories. Somewhere in deep space, a pirate crew scanned for potential targets. They found a damaged cargo ship alone and vulnerable. The captain, a young Vraxian who had not lived through the Great Purges, grinned and ordered an intercept course. "Captain, the ship is transmitting human identification codes," his first officer said nervously. "So what? It is damaged and alone. What could possibly go wrong?" Around them, hidden in the darkness of space, 30 sets of human sensors activated silently. Weapon systems came online. FTL inhibitors deployed. The net was closing once again. And in the galaxy, one more lesson was about to be taught.